Got it.
Got it. So we should be good to go.
Everybody
Okay.
mute.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. And to those who are joining us on the live stream, we're going to begin our service as we always do on page 30. And it looks like we're going to have a very fine day today. So, cold, but fine. So with Ma Tovu. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov mishkenotecha Yisrael. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov mishkenotecha Yisrael. Vani brov chastaha v'veitecha eshtakabel haikol kachacha v'yeretecha. Adonai ahavti me'om beitecha umkom mishkan kevodecha. Va'ani eshtachaveh ve'echorhai v'hai lifnei Adonai osi. Va'ani tefilati l'cha Adonai et ratzon. Elohim b'rav chastecha neni be'emet yishecha. Forgive me a moment. I forgot to put my tallis on. I was enjoying our conversation and lost my day. I'm so sorry. Okay, sorry, I'll continue now. On page 32. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher yitzar adam b'chokma v'vo nekavim nekavim chalulim chalulim galui v'yadu lifnei chisei cheverecha sheim yipatech echad mehem o yisatem echad mehem yefshar lehitkayem la'amod lefanecha. Baruch atah Adonai rofei chol basar mafli la'asod. Elohai nishama shanatata b'tohorhi atah varata atah yitzarta atah nafakta bi v'atah meshamra b'kirbi kol zaman shahanshama b'kirbi modani lefanecha Adonai Elohai v'Elohei avotai v'yimotai ribon kol hama'asim adon kol hanshamot. Baruch atah Adonai asher bi'ado nefesh kol hai v'ruach kol basarish. And please rise for the Nesim B'Kol Yom, or daily miracles. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan l'sachvi v'ina l'chavchim ben yom u'ben laila. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam pokeach ivrim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam matir asarim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam zokef kafufim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam rokar haaretz al hamayim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamachim mitzadei gaver. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam malbish arumim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hanaten layev koach. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamavir sheina me'inai utnama me'avapai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani b'tselem Elohim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani bat chorim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam ozer Yisrael b'gvura. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam oter Yisrael b'tifara. Be seated, please. We continue on page 42. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. V'harevna Adonai Eloheinu et divrei Toratecha b'finu u'v'fi amcha beit Yisrael v'niyeh nachnu v'tzetzainu v'tzetzachei amcha beit Yisrael Kulani Yedei Shemecha, V'lamdei Tortecha Lishma. Baruch atah Adonai, Hamlamed Torah Le'amo Yisrael. Elu Devrim, Shem Lahem Shiur, Shadam Ocher Pertehem Balam Hazeh, V'hakeren Kayemet Lo Le'elam Haba, V'elu Hein. Kibud Avaim, Ugemilut Chasadim, Vahashkamat Beit Hamidrash Shacharit Ve'arvit, Vahaknasat Orchim, Uvikur Cholim, Vahaknasat Kala, Uvayat Hamed, Viun Tfilah, Vavat Shalom Ben Adam Lahavero, V'Talmud Torah Kenege Kulam. And we rise now for the Kaddish de Rabbanan for our teachers, having said a few words from the Mishnah. And we recite this together. Yit Gadol v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah v'alma divrach chirotei v'yamlich malchotei v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei kol beit Yisrael v'agala v'zman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehei Shemei Rabbah mevarach le'alam olamei almaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpoar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yithalal Shmei Kedusha b'richu Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tush v'chata v'nechamata tamiran be'alma v'imru Amen. Al Yisrael ve'al Rabbanan ve'al Talmidei Hom ve'al kol Talmidei Hom ve'al kol manda askin b'iraita Diva adra hadem v'div v'chol atar v'atar Yehe l'chon ulchon shalom araba china v'chista v'rachamin v'chayin arechim umzonei revichei u'forkana min kadamu v'chon divishmaya v'ara v'imru Amen. Yehe shalom araba min shemaya v'chayim tovim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav Hu barachamav yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol Yoshvei Tevel v'imru Amen. And we remain standing for the Pesukei de Zimra on page 50. Baruch Shemar v'haya haolam Baruch Hu Baruch Hosei Bereshit Baruch Omer ve'aseh Baruch Ozer Kayim Baruch Merachem al haaretz Baruch Merachem al habriot Baruch Mishalem Sachar Tov Lireav Baruch Chai Le'ar v'Kayam Lenetzach Baruch Kodel Matzil Baruch Shemo V'yishvachot u'v'yizmarot Negedelcha u'shibracha u'mforecha V'nazkir Shimcha v'namlicha Malkeinu Eloheinu Yechid Chei Ha'olamim Melech Meshubah Mfardei Yad Shemo Hagadol Baruch Atah Adonai Melech Mehulal B'Tishbachot. You remain standing for Chetzi Kaddish, and it's on page 57. Yit Gadol v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah V'alma divrach chirotei v'yamlich malchotei v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei kol beit Yisrael v'agala v'zman kariv v'yimaru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam olamei almaya Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpoar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal Shmei Kedusha b'richu la'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tush v'chata v'nechamata damiran be'alma v'yimaru Amen. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed. Please be seated, and we continue silently on page 60. אור חדש על ציון תאיר ונזכה כולנו מהרו להרו. ברוך אתה אדוני יוצר המאורות. We continue silently again on page 62. עבר אותנו אדוני גדול תמות עלינו עבור אבותינו כי הוא פועל ישועות אתה ובנה בחרת וקרבתנו לשמך הגדול סלע באמת להודות לך ולייחדך באהבה. ברוך אתה אדוני הבוחר בעמו ישראל באהבה. שמע ישראל אדוני Eloheinu Adonai Echad Shem Kavo Malchuto Me'olam Va'ed. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בהם בשבתך בביתך ובלבתך בדרך ושופך ובקומך וקשרתם מאוד על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך וישעריך. ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור דבר אל בני ישראל ואמרת עליהם ועשו להם ציצית על כנפי בגדיהם לדורותם ונתנו על ציצית הכנף פתיל תכלת וחיה לכם לציצית וראיתם אותו וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני ועשיתם אותם ולא תטורו אחרי לבבכם ואחרי עיניכם אשר אתם זונים אחריהם למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי והייתם קדושים אלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. Emet. We continue silently on page 70. Emet. Tehilot le'elyon baruch hu umvorach Moshe Miriam v'nei Yisrael l'chanu shira b'simcha rabah v'yamru chulam Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai Mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh Nora tehilot osefela Nora tehilot osefela שירה חדשה, שפכו גאולים, לשמחה על שפת הים, יחד כולם הודו והמליכו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך, אדוני ימלוך, לעולם ועד. צור ישראל, קמה בעזרת ישראל, וברכנו מעך יהודה וישראל, קולנו אדוני צבאות שמו, קדוש ישראל. ברוך אתה אדוני, God Israel. We continue with our tefillah. Prayer invites God's presence to infuse our spirits, God's will to prevail in our lives. Prayer may not bring water to parched fields, nor mend a broken bridge, nor rebuild a ruined city, but prayer can water an arid soul, mend a broken heart, and rebuild a weakened will. We continue with the Amidah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzhak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim B'Konei HaKol V'Zocher Hasdei Avot V'Imachot Umevig Yulam Livnei B'neihem L'man Shemo Be'ahava Melech Ozer Moshiach U'Magen Baruch Atah Adonai Magen Avraham Bezrat Sarah Atah Gibor Le'elam Adonai Mechayeh Metim Atah Rav Lechoshia Mashiva Ruach Umarid Hagashem Mechakel Chayim Bechesed Mechayeh Metim Berachamim Rabim Somech Noflim Be'ofei Cholim Umatir Asarim Umekayem Emunato Lishenei Afar Micha Mocha B'Gevurot Umido Melech Melech Memid Umechayeh Umatzmiah Yeshua V'ne'eman atah l'chachayot metim Baruch atah Adonai Mechayeh hametim. We continue with the Kedusha on page 82. Nekadesh et shimcha ba'olam, kashem shemakdishimo tov b'shmei marom, kakatuv al yad nevi'echa, v'kara zel zav yamar, kadosh, 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 Adonai tzvaot, molocho haaretz kevodo. Lumatam Baruch Yameru Baruch Kavod Adonai Mimakomel Uvdivrei Kashacha Katuv Lemor Yimloch Adonai Le'elam Elohai Yiksion Lador Vador Hallelujah Lador Vador Nagid Gadlecha Unetzach Nesachim Kedushatcha Nagdish V'shifachcha Eloheinu Mipino Lo Yamush Le'elam Va'ed Baruch Atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh. And we continue now silently to page 100 to the Osei Shalom. Before we conclude with the Oseh Shalom, let's take a moment to offer prayers of healing for those that are in our thoughts. If you want to unmute yourselves and let us know who you're thinking of.
Harach Hanolad Ben Devor Gita, Linda Sifkin as well.
For Hannah and Jean and my friend Richard Benson.
Carla Zivit.
Esther Batsara, it's my sister Patsy.
And I'd also like to mention Carl, who's in the final stages of his move and is very stressful. So we're on page 109. Mishaberach Avotenu Vehimotenu, Avraham, Yitzhak, Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah, Hu Yivared Et HaCholim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu Yimalei Rachamim Alehem, L'chachalimam, U'rapotam, U'chachazikam, V'yishlach Lahem Mehara Refuah, Refuah Shlema Min HaShamayim, Refuah HaNefesh, U'refuah HaGuf, Hashtaba Akala Vizman Kariv, Venomar Amen. Oseh Shalom Bimromav, Hu Yaseh Shalom Aleinu, Ve'al Kol Yisrael, Vayimaru, Amen. And Sally, I think you're sharing us some words this morning. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. We have a full house today. Nice to see everybody. In this week's Parsha, Vayakel, the Israelites continue to receive commandments and a blueprint for the tabernacle. We learned that the Israelites were generous in contributing beautiful items and materials to the builders of the tabernacle. And we know that God selected Bezalel to create the artifacts in the tabernacle. His artistic role is reflected in his name. It means in the shadow of God. Bezalel's gift lay in his ability to communicate through his work that art is the shadow cast by God. What struck me, and what was a learning point for me, is that we as a people associate sculptures and statues with religions other than ours. Clearly, we have had a religious ban against images because of idolatry. Historically, images, charms, icons, and statues were linked in the ancient world with pagan religions and their practices. We have had a mistrust of all graven images. The idea that we could worship the work of men's hands was the opposite of biblical Judaism. We have learned well from the second commandment, you shall not make for yourself an image in the form of anything in heaven above, or on the earth, or in the waters below. However, the visual dimension was not wholly missing from Judaism. There are visible symbols like tzitzit and tefillin. Art in Judaism always has a spiritual purpose to make us aware of the universe as a work of art. Religious art is not art for art's sake. Unlike secular art, it points to something beyond itself. We are to ensure that all objects used in the performance of a command are as beautiful as possible. The tabernacle was a kind of microcosm of the universe. The most significant development of the aesthetic dimension is in the tabernacle itself. Its framework, hangings, its furniture, the cherubim above the ark, the menorah, and the vestments of the priests and the high priests. The term lekavod or liteferet for dignity and beauty. Maimonides, in the work known as the 8 chapters, the introduction to his commentary on Mishnah Avot, speaks about the therapeutic power of beauty and its importance in counteracting depression. He wrote, "Someone afflicted with melancholy may dispel it by listening to music and various kinds of song, by strolling in gardens, by experiencing beautiful buildings, by associating with beautiful pictures, and similar sorts of things that broaden the soul." For some people, art may be a difficult medium through which to connect to God. If we widen the definition of art to its broadest sense, it could include creativity and beauty of humans and their endeavors. There are many examples of culture that speak to people. These might be music, literature, art, or nature. The point is, they may offer a spiritual connection to God and the world. The world around us is a reflection of God's greatness. It is an expression of God's spiritual truth and the beauty of the holiness of God, which can be accessed through exploring the natural sciences. So too with the social sciences, which aim to understand humanity, which itself is an integral part of God's creation. In the same way, the arts are a cultural expression of the spiritual goodness contained in human beings. Bezalel's name, in the shadow of God, is just as the sciences are a reflection of God. Art fits into the area of knowledge that Rabbi Sachs terms of chokhmah. Chokhmah includes natural and social sciences, as well as the visual arts and literature. They are all ways of exploring and understanding the world that God created. Art in Judaism always has a spiritual purpose, to make us aware of the universe as a work of art, testifying to the supreme artist, God himself. Art, in Hebrew, omanut, has a semantic connection with emunah, faith or faithfulness. A true artist is faithful both to his materials and to the task, teaching us to see a world in a grain of sand and a heaven in a wild flower, hold infinity in the palm of your hand, and eternity in an hour. And as Goethe said, where there is much light, the shadow is deep. When art lets us see the wonder of the creation as God's work and the human as God's image, it becomes a powerful part of the religious life with one proviso. The Greeks believed in the holiness of beauty. Jews believe in Hadrat Kodesh, the beauty of holiness. Not art for art's sake, but art as a disclosure of the ultimate artistry of the creator. That is how omanut enhances emunah, how art adds wonder to faith. Thank you for your attention.
Oh, Sally, Yasher Koach. I mean, I think that really speaks to me. You know, having come through COVID and been so isolated, you know, you really do look for the light, you know, and the light, you know, around you is sort of the beauty that's around you. You know, you get inspiration from music and art, like you say, but also just, you know, finding a beautiful garden, like walking through Van Dusen, or, you know, or just seeing the art in a path where there are big trees that, you know, inspire, you know.
I agree. Walking through Pacific Spirit Park is
Yeah.
relaxing, and you start to appreciate everything.
Yes. Oh, thank you. It's interesting, the name In the Shadow of God. It's a
True.
yeah. Anyway, thank you very much for that. Any other comments for Sally, or anybody have anything to say?
I have one. I think it was a few months ago, Sally, you said you hadn't given a drosh since your bat mitzvah. So you're on a roll here. You really are.
Yeah, thank
Well
you.
done. It was wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we want one a week.
No way.
No,
No.
it's too much work.
I will share with you that before I decided to go this route, I started to read about spiritual, not the difference between, but we often hear people talk about being spiritual but not religious. And so that's a whole subject on its own, when people don't affiliate with any particular religion but feel the spirituality. And I decided to abort that mission and go with something closer to home.
Yeah, that would be a very big and complicated one to tackle. Anyway, thank you for what you said, what you did for us today. It was. I'm looking around and appreciating everything around me right now. Thank you.
Well, Sally, you have lots of time to develop that one for next time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks. I'll call you for some words of wisdom as your consultant now.
Yeah.
I could purvey some to you, perhaps.
We'll give you 2 weeks.
Purveyor of wisdom.
Yes. Okay, so we'll continue on with Aleinu. It's on page 586, and rise if you'd like. Aleinu l'shabech la'adon ha'kol, l'tet gedula le'otzer b'reshit, shelo asanu kagayei haratzot, v'lo samanu kamishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, v'gor aleinu kechol hamonam, va'anachnu korim, umishtachavim umodim, Lifnei Melech Malchei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu Shehu Noteh Shamayim Be'osed Aretz U'Moshe V'Yikaro B'Shamayim Imal Shkinatu Zo Begavhei Meromim Hu Eloheinu Eino V'nemar v'haya Adonai l'melech al kol haaretz v'yom hahu yiyeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad. A few words before we say Kaddish. An excerpt from a poem by Amanda Gorman. May this be the day we come together. Mourning, we come to mend. Withered, we come to weather. Torn, we come to tend. Battered, we come to better. Tethered by this year of yearning, we are learning that though we weren't ready for this, we have been readied by it. We steadily vow that no matter how we are weighed down, we must always pave a way forward. This hope is our door, our portal. Even if we never get back to normal, someday we can venture beyond it. To leave the known and take the first steps, so let us not return to what was normal, but reach towards what is next. Zecher Tzaddik Livracha, may the memory of the righteous service as a blessing. And the Shiva and Shloshim, a list. Avern Cohn, Mikhail Dudnik, Gabor Elias, Harry Friedman, Karen Jewell, Harold Katz, Saul Cohn, Gordon Robinson, Joyce Elaine Rosenthal, Julia Shapatina, and we add the name Simcha Solowski in Israel, a friend of Joyce and Barry Silverman. And our weekly yahrzeit observances this week: Sarah Atnikoff, Gita Tova Bell, John Barry, Michael Bowman, Gertrude Chertko, Joseph Coblin, Elaine Nadler Costello, Margaret Davis, Glenn Dirksen, Noreen Gillitz, Robert Ginsburg, Harry Goldberg, Charles Gordon, Esther Gold, Siegfried Helbrun, Gertrude Hoffman, Bernard Kaplan, Sam Kaplan, Danny Carton, Lillian Cates, Ruth Kleiman, Marjorie Levinson, Theodore Levitt, Raymond Lieberman, Sylvia Littner, Cyril Lukes, Myron Lurie, Carol Matei, Meyer Miller, Dylan Ozer, Francis Pearl, David Perlis, Sabine Pincus, Nate Radson, Ruth Rosenberg, Lillian Seelig, Roger's mother, George Silverman, Diane Sinclair, Tova Snyder, Edith Tapley, Sam Tenenbaum, Anna Torovskaya, Sid Wiener, George Woolstone, and Louis Zacher. And if there's anyone saying Kaddish for the year, mention their name, or anyone whose name I missed or perhaps mispronounced.
Minnie Karlinski.
And we join together with the Mourner's Kaddish on page 598. Yikadal v'yikadash shemei rabbah, ve'alma divrach hirotei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayed kol beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kariv v'imru, amen. Yehei shemei rabbah mevarach le'olam olomei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpoar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudashah b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'sharata, tush v'chata v'nechamata, damiran be'alma ve'imru, amen. Yehei shalom rabba min shamaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'romav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru, amen. Boker Tov, and thank you, everyone. Yasher Kosh.